From the City of Angels, you're listening to the James Salazar Media Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about headlines from the world of futurism. So let me strike the music and I'll meet you on the other side.
Engage.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Say hello to my little friend.
No, I am your father.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
And welcome to the James Salazar Media Podcast, where you get your weekly dose of pop culture, politics, and futurism. I am the formerly mentioned James Salazar, a.k.a. The Media. Back from vacation. Went on spring break. That's probably why I was MIA last week. Decided to go to Joshua Tree, Yosemite, and then cap the vacation with Las Vegas, Nevada. It was a great vacation. I loved it a lot, but some parts of it I bit off more than I should chew. But Joshua Tree was amazing. The stars were amazing. This is what we went for. I told my daughter that this has one of the best views of the stars in our country, and we should go check it out. And we did, realizing, you get excited and you don't read all the information. We didn't see the mist of the Milky Way, but we saw a shitload of stars, and it was great. But the mist of the Milky Way comes like in summer, and I guess when we're close to the sun. I don't know why that is, but also you need to be there in a new moon. A new moon is when the Earth is blocking the sun on the moon, and it's completely in darkness, and because the moon will give out light pollution, so you can't see the stars. And ours was like a crescent moon, still enough, pretty bright in the sky, to keep us from really seeing all the stars in their glory. But we saw a shitload of them, and they were amazing, way better than what you would see in Los Angeles, in Whittier, California. And we took some great pictures with my daughter. And it was pretty amazing. We climbed some rocks. She was way more adventurous than I was. I had her, she decided to climb up some rocks, and I was proud of her and scared for her all at the same time. But she's a little monkey. She jumped on those rocks like there was no business, and she found her way around and didn't let fear get a hold of her. And, she slipped on some rocks. But that's not the real story. The real story is when we went to Yosemite. And not knowing what to do, not really checking it out, what to do, like what trails to go on. We just picked a trail. And that trail happened to go about 3.5 miles. And it when we're walking about 1.5, it says there's a mirror lake for another 1.5 miles. So we did it to get to a point, and the mirror lake was pretty beautiful. And then we had to walk all the way back. So we did a total of 6 to 7 miles within 5 hours, maybe. And my wife and my daughter hated me for it. But we got to eat at a restaurant that's in the middle, which helped, but it was terrible food. It was good to rest, but they made the worst sandwiches. It was the restaurant inside the bar. It's called the Ennui Hotel, I think. But they were having COVID menus and not really spectacular. And we were really to eat something hearty And what we ordered sounded hearty, but it wasn't. It was just terrible. But what are you going to do? We ate it anyway because we were starving. And the next day, I said, let's go look. I said, we want to see something spectacular, right? So I said, we're going to go up to the Upper Yosemite Falls. Now, this is one of the hardest hiking to do. And we went towards the path, and some guy came down. I said, what's this path? And he said, this is to the Upper Yosemite Fall. Over there is to your left is El Capitan. He said, it's a more leisurely walk. And I said, for my wife and my daughter, based upon yesterday, we should probably do the leisurely walk to El Capitan, because El Capitan is a big old rock mountain, piece of a mountain that looked amazing when we drove by it. It'll probably be cool. So we walk about 3 minutes going towards El Capitan, and my wife says, why are we going this way? And I said, well, the other one, it seems very hard, but there's a waterfall at the end. She says, why am I going to walk this way when I can go see a waterfall? And I said, you sure? She says, yes. About a quarter of the way up, we knew we fucked up. It was ridiculous. It's like it's like this jig-jag going up, straight up a mountain with the floors like all these uneven rocks. You know, and it just went up. Just went up. Walk a couple feet, turn the corner, walk another feet, go turn the corner. About 100 of these going all the way up. So we ended up getting to this overlook before you get to Upper Yosemite Falls. And it has some amazing views. Some of these views I will, hold to my heart till the day I die. It's one of the most grandest things I've ever seen. And, but we stopped there, and we probably would have rested there and then continued to Yosemite's Upper Falls, where you get to see the fall on the side of it. But we started late in the day, around 2 o'clock. And we were already 2.5 hours just going straight up. And we knew we had to get down, and it was going to get dark. And that would have been terrible. It was terrible going down, period. It felt more dangerous, felt more scary. My wife and my daughter were scared because the rocks, when you're coming down, are just more slippery than going up. But we head down. We watch out for each other. I felt like 3 times. They were more scared for me. They thought I was like some old man just falling on my ass. There were just some silly things I did by accident. I didn't like fall down like, I'm falling and I can't grow up. Somebody help me up. No, it was just like I slipped, try to, save face and jump up really quick. Say, I'm okay. But they were like, oh my God, you're going to die up here. But we made it down. We had a great sense of accomplishment. We were a little disappointed we didn't make it all the way up to Yosemite Upper Falls. We made it. We're just 20 minutes away from it, and but it was getting dark. You can see the sun setting over the under the mountain. It was plenty of light, probably. So it took us another hour and 40 minutes to get down it. Trying to be as careful as possible, holding on to the makeshift wall that they make on this path. But overall, it was great. And exhausted. We went back to our lodge, and we had pizza at the only restaurant there. And then we headed to Vegas the next day. Now, that ride from Joshua Tree to Yosemite was about 8 hours, but it is such beautiful things to see from the freeway. And once you get off the freeway, it's about 2 hours to get to Yosemite, and just the farmland. I mean, it looks like Scotland and parts of Ireland. It's so beautiful. We definitely stopped and took pictures along the way. And the trip from there to Vegas, from Yosemite to Vegas, was about 8 to 10 hours itself. And they went quick for me. I don't know why. I listened to some popular podcasts. I listened to some Joe Rogan and the Ben Shapiro podcast and some Neil deGrasse Tyson podcast just to kill the time. And the subjects were interesting enough to make me not feel it. We stopped and stretched here and there, but they were long. But I didn't feel it. Sometimes I feel like going from my house, Whittier, California, to Las Vegas, which is about 4 hours, feels longer because I know there's nothing new about the commute. But the commute to Joshua Tree and Joshua Tree to Yosemite and Yosemite to Las Vegas were stuff I haven't seen yet. So I was all good with it. So that was my vacation in a nutshell. Definitely we'll probably go back. Maybe not next year, but the year before that, or I don't know. It all depends if we can get more people to go with us. More people need to go with us to do such a thing. You know, and you sort of laugh at people's, gallows humor or, self-deprecating humor going up a mountain. It makes it more funner, makes it more interesting, but you're all in it together. So, we're going to go back there and probably going to try to do that again, that crazy hike up that mountain and just go straight up. It feels like it's never going to end. And it didn't. We actually quit it before it ended. And we're going to go to the falls next time. Gives us something to look forward to. So that's my vacation, everyone. That's my vacation. A little bit of politics before we head into the headlines from Futurism. Looks like Joe Biden held his first press conference where he addresses it took a long while to get there. And, there's a lot of things that I really don't agree with, but he can't seem to concentrate. And I'll say this right now, even though I think she didn't do enough in the primaries to become vice president. It was clearly Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren who should have been vice president. But at this point, he's so incoherent, I would rather him step down and just have her up. And granted, as a libertarian and a conservative, she's not going to say anything I'm going to like any more better. But at the end of the day, I can understand what she's going to say. At the end, and even for liberals, you want to have the best oracle for your beliefs. So at this point in time, I think he should stand down. I know it will be embarrassing for the Democratic Party, but it is not embarrassing as them holding his water, the media holding his water, trying to pretend that what he says makes any sense. I mean, they have already caught him in so many lies, and they're acting like he's not lying. And it is sort of ageism that they're like, he's a silly old man. He don't know what he's saying, basically. But I'm pretty sure as a liberal, that's not what you want. So I say, let's put him to bed and get Kamala in there. And like I said, I don't think I'm going to agree with anything she does. But at least, she's going to be articulate about it, which is important as a leader of the free world. I mean, they basically accomplished what they wanted to accomplish, is to get Donald Trump out of there. But, man, are they making the case for him to come back? And I don't particularly want him to come back. I mean, I'll take him over any Democrat. But I don't want him particularly. I think there's plenty of Republicans that don't have thin egos and says stupid stuff and tweets ridiculous things, and at the end of the day lie about a stolen election that he pretty much knew. And it's not that he could believe that the election was stolen from him, but what he couldn't do, shouldn't have said, that it was a possibility for Mike Pence to overturn it. That was never an option. And he lied to his people about that. And when Mike Pence went to ratify that election, they were very upset because they felt he betrayed them. No, it wasn't in Mike Pence's power to deny that election. So, and, that's a big mistake. But I would be damned if the Democrats are not doing their worst to make him walk right into the freaking Oval Office in the next election. The border crisis is so bad, it would kill any other president where they stood. I mean, you have children being thrown over walls just so they can come into this country based upon the openness of Joe Biden's towards undocumented people coming over, his open door policy that he has hinted out, and he refuses to be blunt and says, look, we're shutting this shit down right now. You guys are getting too crazy. Too crazy. And looks really bad. He is taking more kids from their parents than Donald Trump has, putting them in not only a caged, there are like storage containers surrounded by cage. So it's like worse. Before they were behind cages. Now they're in storage behind cages, and nobody in the media can see them or talk to them. I mean, it is amazing to me. It is amazing to me. All the people on Facebook and Twitter who complained about Donald Trump doing that are suspiciously quiet about it. Joe Biden is a disaster. And so fast, within his 100 days, he has killed millions of jobs, mismanaged a pretty much easy COVID situation right now by not letting people open up when it clearly should be opened up. The science says they should be opened up, which he is ignoring because we obviously know that the teachers' unions are telling him to keep it closed. Now you put in the border crisis, it is fumble after fumble after fumble. And it's amazing what he's getting away with. So, my friend, at the end of the day, at the very least, I want him to take questions and give answers for why he's doing what he's doing. And he is incoherent. So I say, get him out of there, bring Kamala in, and let her be questioned about their terrible policy so far. That's all I'm going to say about that. Just watch King Kong versus Godzilla. And I'm going to do that on my next podcast. So be ready for that. I have some strong opinions about it. Very strong. But let's get into headlines from the world of futurism. Shit, Chewie, you scared the shit out of me. Okay, first headline. Harvard halts plans for controversial geoengineering experiment. Solar geoengineering is highly controversial concept to combat climate change. The idea is to block some of the sun's energy from reaching the Earth's surface by reflecting it back into space with small particles in the stratosphere. But experts are still not entirely sure about the risk involved, how well it would work, or indeed if it would work at all. And it has the scientists worried. Harvard University-led called the SCOPEX was planning to release weather balloons high up into the sky to release small particles in order to test the theory. But the team decided to suspend all plans to kick off the project. I would think so, because that shit could cause the opposite. The what do you call it? Not nuclear. A winter. What do you call it? Global cooling. That's what I'm trying to get to. We don't know what these people are doing. We don't know how that's going to act. Like, sometimes these scientists get so bold, they get so cocky, and thinking they know better. But the thing about science, you got to be able to test it. And it's pretty hard to test something like that in a lab. The only way you can test it is actually doing it. But we're not going to be no guinea pig. At least we hope we're not going to be. So they're going to do this in Sweden. So the committee advised that the researchers do some preliminary equipment test, reach out to Sweden's public first. So yeah, basically they're going to do this in Sweden and see if it screws up Sweden. And if it's Sweden's carbon footprint is lowered by this, well, I guess they're going to offer this as a solution. Who knows? SpaceX makes progress on launch tower meant to catch Starship boosters. According to the latest drone shots, SpaceX is making a solid progress on its orbital launch facilities in Boca Chica, Texas. Most prominent, a number of new structures is the first of the two planned launch towers designed to catch the space company's super heavy booster, a gigantic rocket stage meant to push starships into orbit using massive arms. And I see a picture here. It says the foundation pilings for the launch tower can be seen in the image taken yesterday. It looks like, the top part of a wedding cake, and they got these spokes that are holding the top, the very small cake, and the spokes that hold it up from the last cake. It looks like that without the cake on top. So I have no idea how that's going to work. In December, Elon Musk tweets, "We're going to try to catch the super heavy booster with the launch tower arms using the grid firm fins to take the load." All right. The launch towers may have a second or just as an important job as well. Might just catch a ship with a lower tower, same as booster, Musk wrote. The massive towers could also be used to join the 160-foot spacecraft to its 230-foot rocket. With the booster, starships will stand just shy of 400 feet tall, almost 100 feet taller than the Statue of Liberty. To put this in perspective, NASA's enormous Saturn V rocket used to launch the Apollo missions to the moon stood at just 360 feet. So, almost 40 feet taller. Well, we'll see how that plays out in reality. He's pretty much a brilliant guy, so I'll cross our fingers, hope he knows what he's doing. New test casts doubt on NASA's physics-defying thruster design. A team of German researchers have found that the highly controversial spacecraft thruster prototype called the EM drive may not produce any thrust at all. Scientists have debated for decades whether the EM drive thruster is a viable solution to propel a spacecraft without the need for propellant. The idea sounds too good to be true. The EM drive purposely works by pumping microwaves into a conical chamber, which then bounce around and collides with the cone walls, exerting tiny amounts of force which, when accumulated, provides enough force to propel the spacecraft. Such a thruster would revolutionize deep space travel by bypassing conventional limitations of physics and cutting travel times to other star systems considerably. The problem, of course, is that the EM drive would defy Newton's second law, which states that the acceleration of an object directly related to the net force applied and occur in the same direction as force. That's why the idea has met plenty of skepticism over the years, with many scientists calling the entire concept into question. EM drive has been long since an idea of sci-fi, of science fiction, and it wouldn't use, fuel. This is a big problem with getting off the Earth. The gravity is so strong that we need tons of fuel just to get off the ground and rocket us up into the stratosphere and into space. So this cuts all that out, and almost, not quite, but almost like how atoms get destroyed to make nuclear fusion. Almost the same thing, but not quite. I'm not going to say for sure because I'm not totally a scientist, but it has a reaction, a chain reaction that would push us off into space at high rates of speed. But they're saying there's no proof of that. We don't have one yet. So why are you making all these assumptions that's going to work? But that's how science moves on. We make an assumption of something that might work, and then we try to prove it, and lo and behold, it either does or it doesn't. So we hope that is something that is possible, because once this space race starts to get momentum and people start to get into space capitalism, and then we start putting bases on Mars and Moon and probably some moons of Saturn and Jupiter, the need to get to those places faster will be a top priority for sure. NASA Sun exploring spacecraft contains powdered bones. The Solar Orbiter, a joint project between NASA and the European Space Agency, is coated by a surprisingly brutal kind of shielding. The spacecraft, which was launched into orbit last February, recently completed its first trip behind the sun. That's amazing. A journey that it could survive thanks to a coating of charred powder bones called solar black. The bones serve as a shockingly powerful shield against powerful cosmic radiation, or perhaps a Jolly Roger style warning to any extraterrestrials that sail past. Funny joke. Those trips around the sun expose the solar orbiter to 13 times the amount of deadly cosmic radiation than what reaches the Earth, as well as metal melting temperatures So the spacecraft needed some extra protection. So the biotech company InBio, which previously developed synthetic bone coatings for medical and dental implants, stepped up and suggested the bones might also be a good fit for titanium space probes. All right. Shall we go into the problem? The problem is that usually synthetic bone coatings burn and change color that alter the craft's ability to absorb heat in a way that the two space agencies couldn't afford, according to CNN. So the bones needed to also be charred and blackened in advance, in part to control its heat absorption properties, but also it wouldn't damage the spacecraft by seizing during the mission. Over the next several years, the bone-dusted solar orbiter will pass closer and closer to the sun, meaning that if all goes well, we may see ground-up bones become a major part of space exploration in the future. All right, so let's start grinding them bones. Rattle them bones. You gotta rattle them bones. That's what is it? Jake and the Neverland Pirates. My daughter used to watch that show. I used to like it too. It's silly. But yeah, whatever works. Whatever works. That's what I say. That's what I say. Well, no more. That's too much. Truck carrying uranium crashes in North Carolina. Oh no. Prompting hazmat response. No shit it did. On Wednesday morning, a truck carrying radioactive uranium suffered a collision with a passenger van. Dumbass. Causing a mass evacuation in case of a hazardous leak. Thankfully, no one seemed to be hurt in the crash itself. Okay. But they're going to glow for 100 years. A hazmat team showed up and cleaned the scene, allowing drivers to get back into their cars after 5 hours. That's a relief, but the crash was still a disturbingly close call. The truck was loaded with shipments of uranium hexafluid. Fluid? Oh shit, that's worse. According to ABC, which is a radioactive ingredient that used to make nuclear power plants fuels. Uranium hexafluid can be nasty stuff, causing kidney damage if ingested or inhaled, aside from the more immediate hazard of radioactivity poisoning, according to the guide published by the Department of Energy National Laboratories. So, yeah, that's not good. That's no good. That is no bueno. No bueno. I hesitate to read this one. Is 10 of the most futuristic April Fool jokes so far. So, number 1, Volkswagen. I guess Volkswagen did a April Fool's joke by saying they're changing their name to Volkswagen instead of Volkswagen for their commitment to electric cars. Canadian Space Agency, it's a tweet that says, well, while traveling on the surface of Mars, the Perseverance rover found a place where all the missing socks from the dryer end up. And there's a pile of socks in the picture on Mars. April Fool's hashtag. CERN space elevator. European Nuclear Research Group CERN proposed a space elevator accelerator, a 500-meter vertical particle accelerator to explore the nature of dark matter that would make it taller than the Eiffel Tower. The standard model of particle physics has been very successful, but it can't explain the 95% of the universe which is dark, and neither Einstein nor physicists has been able to cook up a working theory for quantum gravity. Okay. I guess the elevator's stupid. I guess Wikipedia got onto it. Online Encyclopedia decided to take April Fool's with a nod to 1993's hit comedy Groundhog Day, an homage to how every day has felt like Groundhog Day during the quarantine. Funny. Okay, I don't know if I want to read these. This has nothing to do with futurism. Futurism. Yes, we bailed out of that one quickly. Boston Dynamics shows off their new warehouse robot. Oh, thank you, warehouse robot, for destroying thousands of jobs. Robot creator Boston Dynamics has released its new ominous creation, Stretch. This robot isn't destined to frolic in the fields like some of its brethren. Stretch has a far more mundane job, requiring it to spend much of its time indoors. Yes. So, Boston Dynamics are the forerunner to, what is it? Cyberdyne Industries. Our robot overlords. That's not what I want. No, shut up. Hold on. 1 second. I'll get this right. Hold on. Right here. Oh, yes. All right.
Citizens of the Earth, you will be destroyed.
All right. Okay. Off to the next one. Anticipating robot soldiers, Britain is downsizing its human troops. As a part of a major military overhaul, the United Kingdom Army is about to shrink by 10,000 soldiers, or at least that's the number of human soldiers. Part of the move to restructure the military is to invest more heavily into military robots, drones, and other tools of high-tech combat. Overall, the update represents an adaptation to the changing face of warfare, with more of an emphasis on cyber warfare than ground troops. That makes sense. China's into it, we're doing it, and they're going to have to play ball. You know, we're not going to throw our humans out. We're not going to have our people fighting robots. We're going to do the same thing. It'll be crazy. Hey, you ready to go out there? Sebastian, and fight the soldiers, the Chinese robots? Say, fuck that. I ain't doing that shit. That's not how they talk in Great Britain, but it is what it is. Shit, this scared me.
Engage.
A little freak out there. All right, let's get past this one. This is obvious where that's going. Here's a very interesting one. Darpa is working on a gigantic flying aircraft carrier. Too many Marvel fans, I guess, working in the Pentagon. The Pentagon has a bold plan to keep aircraft helicarriers relevant into the future of warfare, taking them out of the water and lifting them up into the sky. The plan sounds laughable, similar to the helicarriers from the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Darpa, the Pentagon Research Division, is dead serious about getting the program off the ground. The current project involves flying mothership planes that can deploy and collect cheaply made drones called gremlins that can swarm around surveilling the area and perhaps engaging in combat themselves. So yes, they're going straight right out of the Winter Soldier. I'm not sure which movie. The freaking Captain America 2. I don't know. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. If they can do it, that would be awesome. I think Angelina Jolie was in a movie where they had like an aircraft carrier in the sky. And they probably stole that. Marvel probably stole. Well, obviously, that movie probably stole it from some other comic book. So I withhold my criticism. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be hard to do. But we see blimps in the air. We see airplanes. And just looking at those big tons of steel flying in the air, you think it's impossible. Those thrusters could not keep that metal in the air, but it does. And the Harrier jets that turn their boosters to the floor and they fly up, they don't need a runway. Well, basically, they're going to have that. And that's, just like the Marvel movie. So fiction becomes reality, it seems like. For America, that would make us basically keep us what we are. Okay, my friends, because I like to keep this within an hour, I'm going to start to read the headlines as fast as I can. Strange distant space object is sending out ultra-low frequency radio signals. Interesting. U.S. military tests a satellite for beaming power down to Earth. That would be great if we can get power from the sky as opposed to these dumbass cables underground. Foodways could power up jet engines we've currently flying with, scientists said. Back to the Future too, right? Doc Brown goes to Marty's house and takes the trash out of his trash can and he puts it into Dr. Fusion, which is like on top of his car to power the flux capacitor. So hey, why not? Mom allegedly uses deepfake to frame daughter's cheerleading rival. So I heard about this. This mother decided to use deepfake. And if you don't know what deepfake is, it's basically the sensation going around that you can put anybody's face on somebody else. And you can see a bunch of people putting their faces on actors in movies. And you can see some actresses faces go on like porn stars, and has Angelina Jolie screwing on film and it's not really her. It's crazy. So basically this mother decided to put the rival cheerleader in the group and have her like smoking pot or something like that. But they figured it out. So she got busted. What it would take for humans to colonize the moon and Mars. South Korea's leader vows to land on the moon by 2030. Exploring the moon's shadows regions using beamed energy. Okay. A Japanese spacecraft bombarded an asteroid expecting seismic activity, but it barely moves. More thicker than you thought. Thicker than a snicker. Elon Musk is bureaucracy's worst enemy. NASA veteran on why commercial is the future. Yes, basically capitalism is the future. NASA is looking for an earlier launch of Lunar Orbiter smallest mission. I don't know what that is. I guess I have to look into that. That doesn't tell us enough in the title. Here we go. NASA is looking for options to move up the launch of a smaller lunar orbiter mission. The challenges the agency faces as it seeks to make a greater use of a ride-share launch opportunities. Lunar Trailblazer Sparecraft is an orbital equipped with a spectrometer and a thermal mapping to study the distribution of water on the moon. The mission's passed its key decision point, reviewed in November, clearing it for full-scale development. So basically, they want to offer jobs to other companies to pick up some of the jobs that NASA needs to do to like explore part of the moon and what's on the moon and look for water. That makes sense. New spacecraft to test cleaning up dead satellites with magnets. Let's read this really quick. Earth's orbit desperately needs someone to take out the trash, and the Japanese company is trying to keep the problem from getting worse. The company called Astroscale has designed a spacecraft with magnet plates that can attach to dead satellites as long as they have the other side of the magnet that enables it to pull the satellites into a free fall, burning up both the spacecraft and its satellite passenger in Earth's atmosphere. So, yeah, basically, I mean, it's going to be a simple craft that's disposable. It'll just drag the satellite into orbit to be burned up in Earth's atmosphere, because Earth's atmosphere can do that. So that sounds like a good idea. More power to you. Clean up that dirty space, you dirty, dirty, dirty space, you. Bacteria strain identified that may support plant growth in space. Yeah, you're gonna need to grow plants if you want to grow plants if you want to stay out there for a length of time. So that's good. Lack of rules governing space race increasingly risks of U.S. and China conflict, reports warn. This is obvious. We're going to have a set of rules that we all agree on. Look, the United States is the most dominant power on Earth, but it's not the most dominant power in space. And that is wide open for another military power to seize the upper hand. So China, Russia, even India, United Emirates, they're all sending people up there to see what kind of advantages they can take. If you can dominate space, I guarantee you somehow, some way, it will equal you dominating the Earth. And it's important. It's important that America stays the top power. See, I've always said this, that the world has a luck of the draw that America is the most powerful military on Earth. Because if it was Russia or China, shit would be being taken over right now. That's a fact. They would tolerate us one bit, and they wouldn't tolerate people around them. They would take back all the Asian Peninsula. Russia would take back all its old property back in the Soviet Union. It's only America who stops them. That we have this moral authority based upon our power to say that you're not going to take advantage of other people. And I get that America has that same sin, but not anymore. And we realized how devastating Great Britain and United States were at one time by trying to colonize places. But China and Russia have not learned those lessons. And America is the most powerful military on earth, and the world's lucky and happier for it. But it's right. We all need to have rules up there that we all agree upon, because it is a tantamount to war if somebody breaks one of those rules, or if it's mob rules up there. This is why we need the Space Force, people. I know people think it sounds silly, but it ain't going to be silly when shit hits the fan up there. And we're in a great position because we have the Space Force. Sounds silly, I know it, but you have to prepare for the future like it's coming. Elon Musk says his Starship rocket will land on Mars well before 2030. Yeah, I mean, the last thing he said was 2026. So maybe maybe it's been pushed up a little bit. So he's staying before 2030. At least he still has a plan. NASA reveals flight zone for historical helicopter flight on Mars. So one of the rovers has propellers on top, and it's like a helicopter, and it's going to do this aerial flight on Mars, and it's going to be a fantastic moment. OneWeb and Spacex are racing to beam internet into the Arctic. Yeah, because they don't have shit up there. And NASA Orion's capsule begins new water drop test. There you go. And that's it. We got through quite a bit. What? Oh, no, I said we would go back to what? I said we'll go back to something. Hold on. Here we go. What will it take for humans to colonize the moon? I'll tell you right now, it's water. It says, back in the Apollo mission era, a notion of constructing even a semi-permanent presence on the surface of the moon was laughable, largely because the numerous lunar regolith samples collected and returned to Earth during the period were found to be dry as bones. That was a common wisdom. There is no water on the moon. So for many years, that was the assumption held in the community. It wasn't until the late 90s that a neutron spectrometer aboard NASA's Lunar Perspective mission found telltale evidence of hydrogen atoms located at the moon's poles, suggesting that the potential presence of water ice. And it wasn't until October that the Sophia mission detected water on the sunlit surface of the moon rather than on the squirrely depths, dark lunar caverns. We had indications that H2O, the familiar water we know, might be present on the sunlit side of the moon. Now we know that it's there. This discovery changes our understanding of the lunar surface and raises intriguing questions about resources relevant for deep space exploration. Based on the new evidence, Mueller estimates there should be enough water ice available to launch vehicles like the space shuttle every day for 2,000 years. So that's a lot of water on the moon. The trick is to have to find it and access it and mine it and then economically use it. One of the revelation of the moon holds the caches of water, which can be used for both quenching astronauts' thirst and power rockets, could set off a resource grab like there's never have been seen back in the 49er days. One of them said the next gold rush to me is to the south pole of the moon and its harsh environment. Okay, my friends, we're going to end it there. Water, water, water. If you want to go into space, humans, you're going to need water. It seems like there's plenty of it on the moon. So, my friends, just came back from my vacation, so I got some things planned. We're going to talk about the King Kong movie and a couple of things I've been watching. And we're going to talk about a little bit about pop culture next week, so stay tuned for that. If you want to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest, just type in James Salazar Media. I should come up. Please follow. And please leave a review on the podcast as well. Press a like and press those bell icons that notify you when something new is happening with James Salazar Media. So, my friends, if the storm of life come against you and you find yourself on your knees, stand tall, take a look at that storm, and you say what my sensei Jack Burton always says, give me your best shot. Strike the music.